Our verse today is 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. For you remember, brothers, our labor and toil. We worked night and day that we might not be a burden to any of you while we proclaimed to you the gospel of God. Yesterday we began reflecting on the letter of St. Paul to the Thessalonians. Paul begins the letter by thanking God for their gift of faith in God and how they became an example to the other churches in Macedonia and Achaia. In chapter 2, Paul recalls their experience in Thessalonica, how he and his companions lived among the Thessalonians. He says, "For we never came with words of flattery, nor with a pretext for greed, nor did we seek glory from people, though we could have made demands as apostles of Christ, but we were gentle among you, like a nursing mother, taking care of her own children." 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, 5-7. Paul reminds the Thessalonians that despite being apostles, they did not seek their own glory or greedily take from the people. They could have made demands on them, but they decided to treat them as parents who take care of their children. They were more concerned about their welfare than taking from them. Then in verse 8, he says, "So being affectionately desirous of you, we were ready to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you had become very dear to us." Our verse today flows from this understanding. Paul and his companions did not burden the community. You remember our labor and toil. We worked night and day. Paul does not mean here preaching the gospel, which was their primary reason for going to Thessalonica. It was included in it, but he actually means actual work, physical work, to pay for his needs and those of his companions. Hence he says, they were not a burden to the church while preaching the gospel to them. Here we must understand that Paul has already said that the ordinary thing for the Thessalonians to do was take care of the needs of the apostles. They were apostles too. That was basic. But Paul and his companions decided not to put that burden on the Thessalonians. Paul was a tent maker and he supported himself. Read Acts chapter 18 verse 3. It was Paul's unique approach to preaching the gospel. We read in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 8, where he says, "Nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it, but with toil and labor we worked night and day that we might not be a burden to any of you." So Paul knew that the Thessalonians were poor. For that reason he begged from other churches to do his work there. See what he says to the Philippians. "Even in Thessalonica you sent me help for my needs once and again." Philippians chapter 4 verse 16. What do we learn from Paul as priests and ministers of the gospel? The church supplies our needs, and some of us are still greedy, taking more than we need and subjecting the people we ought to serve to become our servants. Ministers of God today must be reminded that they are servants of the people. Yes, the people provide for their needs. They must not put extra burdens on the people. They should also know the strength of the people they serve, especially in not well-to-do areas. Bigger or wealthier churches should always support the poorer ones. Members in those big churches should always consider giving to poorer churches in need rather than piling up money in their already developed church where they don't need them anymore. The same message goes to our political leaders. As servants, they should work for the people they serve and not greedily taking what belongs to their people. Lord, speak to the hearts of religious leaders and those in authority, both in private and public offices, to work for the good of the people and not become greedy shepherds. Amen. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of the day.